do a thing of grease real quick. This is a version 1 hater sauce, just like in the shocker video. I told you I'm missing some of my stuff. I actually found out it will be here on Friday, so I'll have all my nice new tools and parts and stuff like that. I'll be able to pump out some more nice videos for you guys. So we're just going to take a touch of grease onto these O-rings here on the tapeworm. Alright, go ahead and put this tapeworm back in. Screw that in. I'm going to do basically in reverse order exactly how I took this apart. I'm going to put the microfiber cloth on here and grab my small adjustable crescent wrench and just give it just a seal it real quick. You know, don't want any leaks, nothing like that. Just a little bit more. Alright. Put that back aside. Alright, we got the tapeworm in. We're just going to go ahead and next we're going to do the valve. So just a touch of grease on the valve O-rings. I just don't want it to dry out. You definitely don't want to over grease these, or under grease them for that matter. These are not moving O-rings, so these are not going to be, I mean, the valve is not going to be a part that's obviously flowing back and forth inside the gun. It's a stationary piece except for the poppet. So lubrication on these O-rings is more for just preventative measures for sealing, so that these don't dry out and break seal, whereas O-rings, say on parts of the shocker bolt, are actually moving O-rings and will be moving and creating friction between the body and the O-ring itself, which is why you need to lube those quite a bit more. Alright, so this is nice and done. Just going to go ahead and pop this in the back, like so. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, you can align it when you get it down towards that end of the body. Push that down a little bit. Grab the squeegee and push it down until you can see it right there through that the hole where the locking screw goes in. So once you get it approximately in place, I like to use either the eraser or a pencil. I don't have that right now, so I'm just going to use the small Allen key and adjust the valve slightly through this hole. Just put it in place just a little bit. Alright, that's good enough, so we can go ahead and take the locking screw, and I'm just going to add a touch of grease to this O-ring as well, just for the same reason that we're greasing all the other O-rings that aren't moving. Just, we don't want this to dry out and break seal, because that would be a waste of time for no reason. Simple fix. So we're going to reassemble the valve assembly. Now like I said, there's that O-ring right there, and there's that O-ring in the back for the ram cap. So we're going to add just a touch of grease. We're going to take the ram, some grease on the O-ring on the ram. Alright, go ahead and see a little piece of something right here. Go ahead and get that out. just a touch more on there, just for good measure, since this is a moving O-ring. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and drop the ram back in here to the assembly. You can just go ahead and push that all the way through until you can pull it. Take this bumper O-ring, slide that back down. And now this bumper O-ring is more for the hammer, so it doesn't, it's not consistently running into the valve assemblies. So, I mean, this doesn't have to be lubricated, but I'm going to keep this just a tad bit moist, just so it doesn't start to dry and crack out, and then I don't want an O-ring disintegrating inside the body, and that would cause a huge mess, and it'd take a little while to clean that out. So I just put enough on here just to keep it moist. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and attach the ram. Alright, so on a lot of these, this is the hammer and the ram, there tends to be thread lock, some kind of thread lock, whether it be a red Loctite, which there used to be on here, as I can see a little residue, or blue Loctite. Heaven forbid they put blue Loctite on this thing inside the body. So a lot of times you can't get that off. Now, it's not really a big deal if it can come off. Just make sure when you're putting this back on that it's nice and snug. It's not going to come unscrewed, but just worst case scenario, we don't want that happening. So that's all set. We're going to go ahead and put in the ram cap. And take my Allen wrench just to make sure that gets nice and snug. Hand tight, again, we don't want to over tighten this and then not be able to get it out, or strip the threads trying to get it out. So we're just going to add a touch of grease to these outside O-rings on the assembly. Again, these are not moving O-rings, so just a decent amount so that these aren't drying out and causing problems later. We don't have to replace these. Get off just a little of the excess right there. Alright, so go ahead and put this back in. Just give it a little push and slides it back in. Now when I do this, I showed you guys I started off with the wrench and everything like that, but I'm only going to do this hand tight as I put it back in. Hand tight for this is absolutely no problem. A little bit of force with your hands, but hand tight is absolutely no problem for this. Between the pressure and the hand tight, and it being hand tight with all the O-rings, it's going to hold just fine. You're not going to have any problems. Front cap back on. And this just screws right in. Hand tight, and there's no problem with giving this a little tug with an Allen wrench. There it goes. See that O-ring sealing right there? Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put the vertical ASA back on. Put the body just off to the side here for a second. And we're going to go ahead and throw the frame and tray assembly back together. First thing, put the spring back in so we can get this trigger back in. Alright. And as it sits there, I'm going to fit these. Alright, so we got the trigger and the pins back in. We're just going to go ahead and put these two seat clips back on, and those pop on pretty easy. You can just slide them on real quick with your fingers. Not as big of a deal as taking them off. Go ahead and pop this one on. There it goes. Alright. Alright, we got the trigger back in there, nice and safe. Alright, so we got the trigger nice and in there. It's moving pretty nice. So we're just going to go ahead and grab these 2 screws and we're going to put the tray back on real quick. So just take the tray, line it up. And just hitting up those two screws I showed you guys on the disassembly. Go ahead and get them in place and screw them down. I'm going to leave just a little bit of play in there just in case I need to adjust where this is sitting on the frame. Get that one in there. Alright, again, just a little bit of play so I can go ahead and look and make sure. When you do attach the tray back onto the frame, you're going to want to look and make sure that the holes in the tray line up with the spaces in the frame for the what would normally be the grip screws. Make sure there's enough room in the trays not slid out to the side or up forward or anything like that. So these look like, alright, a little bit of adjusting. Alright, these look like they're in a pretty good spot now, so we're just going to go ahead and tighten those down.